Welcome to Special Stage Extra and to a colder than usual Llandudno. Colder than usual because it's February, not October. And with names like Mads Osberg, Andreas Mikkelsen, Rico Hervenen on the top of the leaderboard here on the Cambrian over the last few years, who doesn't want this win? They all want it. Let's see how they go in the North Wales forests.
On to the morning stages then, and it will be the early lead for Luke Francis and John Roberts, starting the season off as they mean to go on surely, and with a good early lead. Steve Simpson and Andrew Roughhead arrive at round one with some upgrades on the car for this season, and the extra power was helping. Second place for now, leading their class. For Simon Rogers and Wyn Davies, it would be third. They weren't sure that the pace was any good, but the results were certainly showing a different story. Sadly, we lose Sean Gardner and Ben Innes, a return to the stages, ending with engine failure. And it's a great start for John Rowlands and Glenn Latham, meanwhile, leading the way in Class 6 at service and enjoying the stages, even if they were a little rough in places. Not the best of starts though for Paul Davey and Roger Allen. Intercom problems would cause some lost time, but thankfully for the pair, they end the morning with 5th place still. And problems too for Dylan Davies and Leon Williams. Their intercom was still working, but the steering wheel was coming loose. Thankfully, it did stay attached and they end the morning with 6th. Unfortunately though, we lose Martin and Dawn England. They get stuck in a ditch on stage 2. It will be a new car and a new co-driver for Roland Llewellyn, with Ian Lawrence joining him here at the Cambrian. 7th place for now, but with plenty to get used to. And gearbox problems would cause a couple of spins and some lost time for Peter Stevenson and Patrick Walsh. They end the morning with 8th place on the leaderboard, 2nd in the class. Ian Rowlands and Emir Hall make a good start, but that would come to an end before they reach service, with the pair pulling over. Gearbox problems the order of their day. And rounding out the top 10 at this stage were Gavin Edwards and Karen Tomlinson. 2nd place in Class 6, ready to gain a position in the next stages with the loss of Rowlands, of course. A big spin on the first stage of the day would cause at least 30 seconds loss for Carl Simmons and Mark Glenister. They lie just outside the top 10 with 3rd in the WR class. And Dave Brick returns, but this time with Phil Clark alongside, going well at this stage with the lead in Class 3. The reason for the change of co-driver would be Freddie and Toby Brick out themselves this season. Sadly though, not going as well as they retire in Stage 3. And sadly, we'd lose James Williams and Paul Wakely when the engine expires on the way through Stage 2. For Andrew Jones and Leston Williams, it will be a good start. 13th place overall, but leading the way in Class 5 on an identical overall time to Dave Brick up ahead. Meanwhile, for Ashley Davies and Sam Fordham, it will be 2nd place in Class 7. But that was behind the now retired Ian Rowlands, so they could go into the second half of the day with the class lead. Harry Gardner and Elliot Graham would have to spend the morning getting used to a new car and left-hand drive, but it was a good start with 17th overall and 3rd in the N4 class. Jordan and Paul Hone were back out this season and in a new car, 2nd place in the Class 3 battle at this stage, but the time's not helped by a few minutes spent in a ditch in the 3rd stage of the day. A spin on the 1st stage, meanwhile, wouldn't be an ideal start for Keirag Hughes and Ryland James. But the next 2 stages would be better. 3rd place in Class 6 for the pair at this stage. Things were going the right way this season so far for Matt Jackson and Claire Williams. No problems for the pair. They reached service with 3rd place in Class 3 and 20th on the overall leaderboard. Philip Clark and Stanley Graham make a good start in Class 4, taking the lead there and reaching service in 24th overall. And 2nd in that class were Bob Vardy and Sarah Keane. No problems on the stages and plenty more miles to challenge for that class lead. 3rd in that class were James Hutchings and James Hood. A little way back from 2nd and continuing from last year, the pair did break a drive shaft in Stage 3. Just a couple of crews in that Class 2 battle, and it will be Jake McKenna and Cal McElhenney who lead the way in that class at this stage. And they'd have about a minute's advantage in the class over Paul Ellis and Simon Jones. 2nd, 33rd overall. So with 3 stages complete, here in the opening round of the Welsh Championship, the results look like this.
Luke, you're in the fight, which is exactly where you need to be.
Yeah, well, we've had a bit of a tough time on stage 2, so we've just corrected that now, and I think we should be not far for leading, to be honest, because they've given us a time which was about 34 seconds out of what we've actually done. So, yeah, we're pushing on hard.
Making the most of that home advantage.
Yeah, it's been a tricky event so far. It's been very slippy, and we've had an issue with the steer, and a bolt came loose, and we've been off and what have you. So, yeah, it's been good.
We won't mention position. I know some of you don't like knowing that at this stage, but it's going well.
Yeah, it's going well now. Pushed hard on them 3 in the morning now, so in the afternoon now, a couple of tyres on now. But yeah, my brother's just gone out now with a gearbox problem in Pimachno. I saw him on the end of the stage, so I'm on my own now. So big push in the afternoon now.
We like big pushes. Good luck.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on the times just as I go out to service, but we'll see how it goes.
Cheers. With service done, we're back at stage 4 for more action from the Cambrian Rally. Don't forget, by the way, while the show's on, why not get involved on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Onto the afternoon stages then, and ending the day with 30th overall were Paul Ellis and Simon Jones, the pair keeping hold of that second place in Class 2. And taking the class victory today were Jake McKenna and Cal McElhenney, the Peugeot pair finishing with 29th on the leaderboard. Sadly for Philip Clark and Stanley Graham, the afternoon wouldn't go to plan. They lose the lead in Class 4 and slip down to end the rally with 3rd place in class. That, of course, meant that James Hutchings and James Hood would end the day with 2nd in the class, a good result to take away from the first round despite their few issues. But taking that Class 4 victory were Bob Vardy and Sarah Keane, 1st in the class as well as 19th overall. An ecstatic Matt Jackson and Claire Williams reached the end with the car still performing as it should, taking 3rd in Class 3 and 18th overall. And there's no change in the class for Kerog Hughes and Ryland James. They finished round 1 with 3rd place in Class 6 with 16th overall. It's a good result for Jordan and Paul Hone despite their excursion into a ditch. They end the rally with 2nd in Class 3, 15th overall. And as expected, it's the Class 7 victory for Ashley Davies and Sam Forden. A good run to reach the end of the event with 14th. It's a good afternoon too for Dave Brick and Phil Clark, although they did feel that something was wrong with the car on the final stage. They do though manage to get to the finish with the Class 3 victory. Andrew Jones and Leston Williams just miss out on a top 10 finish with 11th overall, but they do manage to take the Class 5 victory at the end of the rally. Frustratingly, the afternoon would see us lose Harry Gardner and Elliot Graham with gearbox issues. And we'd also lose Dylan Davies and Leon Williams when they stop in the same stage. Onto the top 10 then, and it would be 10th place for Tony Carinanti and Chris Williams, the pair climbing up to 3rd in Class 8 by the end of the rally. It's a good debut in the new car for Roland Llewellyn and Ian Lawrence, 2nd in the N4 class and finishing just inside our top 10 with 9th overall. Gavin Edwards and Karen Tomlinson give a good performance to improve on their seeding more than the others, ending the event with 8th place overall and 2nd in Class 6. But taking the class victory were John Rowlands and Glenn Latham, a good run on the North Wales stages to take victory here at round 1. Unfortunately for Simon Rogers and Wyn Davies, it will be a little drop down the overall results into the afternoon stages. They end the rally with 6th place on the leaderboard but remain 2nd in Class 8. Paul Davey and Roger Allen meanwhile suffered in the morning, but that didn't stop them getting a good result. 5th place overall after a strong afternoon performance, taking the Group N victory. And thankfully things got better for Carl Simmons and Mark Glenister, climbing back up the results to take 4th place at the end of the day. And for Peter Stevenson and Patrick Walsh, it would be a better afternoon too, with a final step on the podium and 2nd in the WR class. But taking that class victory was Steve Simpson and Andrew Ruffhead, 2nd place overall for the pair on the debut in their upgraded Fiesta. And taking victory here at the opening round of the championship are Luke Francis and John Roberts, using that local advantage. A great run by the pair to take victory by over a minute and a half. So at the end of the first round of what looks to be a very exciting Welsh Championship, here's a look at those final results.
What a way to start your Welsh Rally Championship campaign in 2016.
Yeah, it's been a good day. We've had some good times put in and some good competition off the lads, and it's been really good. So yeah, good start to the season.
Making the most of the home advantage as well there.
Yes, and it's a Welsh stages and everything like that, and we had some guy die this week, David Stokes, and we want to get emotional about it, but we want to dedicate this event to him and see everything about it. So that's it.
Fabulous result to dedicate to David Stokes as well, a hero of many people watching the show and us as well. Well done, guys. That's how to start the season.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Stephen, Andrew, that was a good result today for the Welsh Championship.
It was, yeah. Second overall. Never thought we'd end up with this the end of today, but we've had a really good day. Just one little small error, that's it, which was a driver error, by the way. And but other than that, we've been faultless all day long. And to be fair, I think we deserve where we are today.
Peter, Patrick, what a way to start the Welsh Championship, and what a battle we've had here at the first round.
Yes, it's been a very good day. We had a challenge on this morning. We've had from the gearbox today a little bit, and I spun a couple of corners. But apart from that, we had a good day. Really enjoyed it. Been dry. That's been the main thing.
Well, Luke Francis finished off last season with a fantastic result on his home event, the Cambrian Rally, and he does the same to kickstart the 2016 Welsh Rally Championship. Victory for Francis as we head to Mid Wales for round 2. We'll see you then.
Round 1 of the 2016 Mintex British Historic Rally Championship kicked off in a rather wet and foggy Wales this weekend at the Red Kite stages. But that didn't stop the competitors from putting on a show for those that braved the conditions to go and marshal or spectate on the event. Jason Pritchard came into this event with it all to prove after taking the title in 2015, but a crash on the final round of the year would surely be playing on his mind. He started the event as he meant to go on though, with a small lead. That may have been a different story though, had it not been for problems in the Elliott and Price camp. The pair were going well, but a storm midway through one of the stages would see the time slipping away while they tried to get it restarted. And in fact, not only would they be sat chasing down the lead, they would also have to watch that they didn't lose that second place, with Joe Price posting an identical time overall after the second stage, and Paul Barrett just a further 5 seconds behind in 4th place. With the Escort dominance at the top of the results, it would be up to Matthew Robinson to mix things up a little, campaigning the rather more unique Fiat 131 and settling in well at the early stage in 5th. Small changes in the next stage would see Paul Barrett climb a little to take up 3rd, although slipping away from the lead a little, but not as much as Joe Price, who drops a chunk of the time in stage 3. He had his suspicions where he was losing it, but he couldn't be too sure. It would be a 3-way battle in Category 2 at this point, with John Perrott leading the way there with a small advantage. But he would have to watch out for Simon Tyso and Stanley Orr, as they lie behind him in 2nd and 3rd respectively. Just a single second between those two at this stage. And there will be a battle starting to unfold for the Category 1 result here at round 1, with Bob Gibbons just edging out a 7-second advantage over Bob Bean in that Cortina battle. In the afternoon, there would be no change at the top, with Jason Pritchard continuing to lead the way. 26 seconds of an advantage now, but the notable change would come from Joe Price, who steps up to take 2nd place. Nick Elliott was struggling, another stall in the stage, taking away any chances of a win, and it would be about taking what he could get from round 1, but he'd still managed to keep Paul Barrett at bay and knock the Northern Irishman down to 4th place. And indeed for Barrett, that's how it would end, with 4th place overall and the class win. But despite only one more stage to finish the day, there would be some change at the top, with Nick Elliott just managing to claim back his 2nd place and salvage a good amount of points from what he would put down as a bad day at the office. But that of course means no change for Jason Pritchard and Phil Clark in the final stage. The advantage at the front was a little smaller by the finish, but they did enough to start their 2016 season as they mean to carry on. Change wouldn't be limited to the top of the results, with John Perrott having problems in the final stage of the event in the Category 2 battle, meaning it's the win for Stanley Orr and Guy Weaver, dedicating the category victory to David Stokes at the finish. And it would be a close battle for Bob Gibbons and Bob Bean all day. Sadly for Bean, it would be disappointment in the final stage when he goes OTL, and it would be Gibbons that finally gets a category win after trying for so long.
The Cambrian Rally would of course play host to the Welsh and BTRDA season openers, but the overall entry always includes plenty of notable cars and crews here in Llandudno. The day would get off to a good start for Charlie Payne and Carl Williamson. One excursion would provide a little scare, but nothing that prevented them from leading at this stage. Ewan Thorburn and Paul Beaton bring out the new Peugeot R5 this weekend and start well, with just 3 seconds between them and Payne going into service. For Luke Francis and John Roberts, it would be the lead of the Welsh Championship as we had seen, but overall it would be third, a great start to their local event. Rhys Yates and Tom Woodburn were another crew out for a pre-season test, getting a few more miles under their belt in the R5 Fiesta, fourth for now, 22 seconds off the lead. Conor McCluskey and Damien Duffin head to the BTRDA, with Conor looking to better where he left off last time, missing out on the championship title by a narrow margin. Today was going well with 5th place to start the day. Bit of variety out on the stages with that Mini too. Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank had hired an R5 car on this event last year, and they were back again in their own this time. 6th place for now was a little way off where they would want to be, but going well nonetheless. Russ Thompson and Andy Murphy will be leading the way in the Group N fight, 7th place overall and just 8 seconds behind Hunter. Wayne Sisson and Peter Foy meanwhile would have some intercom problems, which wasn't helping their times, but they were still inside the top 10 with 8th place. And things were not going too well for Steve Perez and Paul Spooner either. They end the morning with 9th place, not fighting for the lead like they would have hoped. Spins and stalls will be the order of the day for Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson, just clinging on to the top 10 going into service after less than an ideal morning. So as the crews head into service, the results at the top look like this. Onto the afternoon stages then, and it will be a move the right way for Peter Stevenson and Patrick Walsh. Problems with the gearbox this morning hadn't helped their overall times. For Wayne Sisson and Peter Foy, it would sadly be a place lost in the afternoon, ending the day with 9th place overall, 2nd in the B13 class. Steve Simpson and Andrew Roughhead have a better afternoon meanwhile, getting used to the new spec car and moving up to take 8th place on the results. And it's a bit of a rescue mission in the afternoon for Stephen Petch and Michael Wilkinson, seeing them salvage 7th place overall from a bad day at the office. Rhys Yates and Tom Woodburn would unfortunately come off worse in the afternoon, moving down a few places and settling on 6th, matching Petch on overall times but coming off better on their earlier good start. A successful test then of the new car for Hugh Hunter and Andy Marchbank as they end the rally with 5th place, gaining speed as the afternoon went on. Another crew with a new car that was also working well, Conor McCluskey and Damien Duffin. They reached the end of the event with 4th place and a good set of points to take forward in the BTRDA. Sadly for Ewan Thorburn and Paul Beaton, there will be some time lost in the afternoon when they get stuck in a ditch briefly in the Peugeot, but they managed to get themselves the final step on the podium and satisfy themselves that the car was capable of winning. Unfortunately, Charlie Payne and Carl Williamson would also miss out. Having led the rally in the morning, they would swap places all day, eventually having to settle for 2nd place. But that does mean it's another giant-killing performance from Luke Francis and John Roberts, taking victory on their home event here in North Wales. So at the end of the rally, here's a reminder of the final overall results from the Cambrian. As well as a historic event, the Red Kite stages also gives the modern crews a chance to sample some classic Welsh stages. And by the midway point today, it will be the lead for David Bogie and Kevin Ray, out to test their new Skoda R5 ahead of their British Championship assault. Julian Reynolds and Patrick Walsh make an appearance in the Ford Focus WRC, leading after the first 2 stages but sadly dropping down to 2nd by now. And they would sit just above Rhys Yates and Tom Woodburn, the pair rounding out the podium after stepping up from 4th place in Stage 3. Roland Llewellyn and Jack Morton would be back out for some seat time in the new car, 4th place for now, leading their class. An improvement for Jamie Jukes and Dave Williams over the morning as they jump a few places up the leaderboard to 5th place now in that Mitsubishi R5. Steve Simpson and Mark Glenister, meanwhile, were enjoying the gravel, with more outings in the Fiesta and things going okay now. 6th place. This weekend would see Sebastian Ling and Aled Rees make a rare UK outing. Not in the usual yellow car though, 7th place for now and 2nd in Class 8. And for Wug Utting and Dan Neroda, it would sadly be a few places lost as they slip down from 5th place to 8th. Mark Gamble and Steve Link bring a Subaru out on this rally. They end the morning in 9th, despite almost throwing it away with a crash on stage 3. And rounding out the top 10 were Kevin Davies and Dale Bowen, leading Class 5 by a considerable margin by now too. Midway through the red kite stages then, and the results are looking like this so far. On to the second half of the rally then, and has changed through some of the top 10, with Adam Bustard and Aaron Johnston now rounding that out in 10th. Thomas and Yurik Davies moved their way up the results to take up 9th place in the Fiesta R5. No change though for Wug Utting and Dan Neroda, unable to make back any places, but they also crucially don't lose any, ending the rally with 8th place on the leaderboard. No more drama for Mark Gamble and Steve Link. They climb a few positions to take 7th place this weekend. And no change for Steve Simpson and Mark Glenister. A steady run would see the pair end the rally with 6th place. A good run here in Wales. Sadly, it's a position dropped for Roland Llewellyn and Jack Morton. Down to 5th, but still taking the Class 8 victory. Jamie Jukes and Dave Williams meanwhile climb a place to move up to 4th, missing out on the podium places by just over 50 seconds. But it would be a podium that didn't really change by the end of the day, with Rhys Yates and Tom Woodburn taking 3rd place at the end of the rally. And for Julian Reynolds and Patrick Walsh, there would be no change either. They reached the end of the day with the runner-up slot. But that does mean it's a successful test for David Bogey and Kevin Ray, taking the lead early on and claiming victory here on that debut in the car. So at the end of an action-packed red kite stages, here's a reminder of the final results.
Well, that's it for our first episode of Special Stage Extra from here in Llandudno for the Cambrian Rally, the Welsh Championship, and of course those overall results. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the next show. In the meantime, make sure you check out our social media for more rally content from around the UK. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching Special Stage.
Two left push over